Nintendo's 2020 wasn't the best, I'd say. While they did have an unprecedented popular multiplayer game, and some pretty great games as well, like Xenoblade Definitive Edition and Origami King, their year was plagued with droughts of news and content, mediocre or disappointing titles, and when the last two ramped down, the massive amounts of controversy surrounding the company at the end of the year. For about 2 months, the entire internet turned around and completely dicked on this company, not unlike what they did with Blizzard the year before. And the only reason it slowed down at all was because CD Projekt Red did Nintendo a solid and turned the attention away from them by releasing Cyberpunk. But that doesn't really negate all of the nasty things that they did back then, and that caused many supporters to rethink their views of the developer. The people saying they're worse than people like Activision Blizzard, Ubisoft, and Electronic Arts were probably blinded by hatred considering the awful, awful things that they do. But that doesn't excuse what Nintendo did either. And the first major controversy that came up about them was Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Yes, you could argue the first one was the partner showcase, but that wasn't really because of Nintendo, that was because of the fans. Ever since around April of 2020, we got this big rumor that basically everyone was saying, which is that they were celebrating Mario's 35th anniversary with a new Mario Kart, a new Paper Mario, and remakes of 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy, along with a 3D World port. The outline was correct, but the specifics were not really there. We ended up getting a Mario Kart AR game, a Paper Mario game that was probably the furthest thing from traditional because it was completely different from literally every other one. 3D World Deluxe, which they got that right, and for the Mario remakes, they weren't remakes. They were basically the same decade-plus old games ported to the Switch. And that was enough for people to be excited, but then some disconcerting stuff started to pop up. Nintendo revealed that the game would only be available to be purchased physically or digitally until March 31st, which made literally no feasible sense. People found out through data mines that the collection was extremely low effort. The game was released for $60, and they took down the soundtrack for $64 on YouTube, which is the same one in the collection. Hey, no wonder. So, yeah, things weren't looking good, but surely at launch the collection would justify its price, right? Right? What do you think? Before I talk about what is in the 3D All-Stars collection, let me bring up a few others, just to lay the groundwork. The Crash and Sane trilogy remade the original 3 games from the ground up with new content for $40. Same with Spyro, by the way. The Metal Gear collection has every mainline Metal Gear game for $50. The Sonic Ultimate Genesis collection has a whopping 51 games for $30. The Master Chief collection has every good Halo game for $40. And for a collective $65, you can get both versions of the Mega Man, Mega Man X, and Mega Man Zero ZX Legacy collections, which includes 20 games, concept art, old trailers and toy lines, music, and a lot more than that. Do these feel like celebrations? Of course they do. Even Nintendo has done collections like this in the past with Kirby's Dream Collection and Metroid Prime Trilogy. One was filled with anniversary bonuses, and the other wasn't, but it was also priced appropriately. So with that said, we get 3 3D Mario games and their soundtracks for $60. That's it. As an anniversary collection, it just feels so empty, like there's nothing here. Just stuff like, here, some games, and some music too. What else do you want? This come off as extremely low effort, like they were only trying to do the bare minimum of what was required to be a collection. Wonderful! We get to play Mario music on the title screen. That's so cool! Apart from the hours and hours of masturbation that Nintendo fans will do to Dire Docks, what's the point? All you can do on the menu is select your game. And before anyone brings it up, no, nobody uses their Switch like an MP3 player. Nobody does that. If this was in there on top of all the other stuff, I could sort of understand, but it doesn't, so I can't. But hey, it's fine if the extra content is lacking because we still get to play 3 amazing games. Sorry, 1 amazing game, 1 good game, and 1 dinosaur. It should still be considered the games are good, so the collection should still be good, right? Well, unfortunately, the port jobs were a mess. Okay, as a product, it may not be worth $60, but some people don't mind that. I saw a few people say that the portability alone made it worth for them. Whatever. But the laziness of the collection shines no brighter than the actual games here. Let's start off with the least egregious one. Galaxy is my favorite 3D platformer of all time, so you'd expect me to be super critical of the port job, but other than stuff from other ports, I don't have a lot to complain about. I'm so glad they mapped spin to a button, but why don't they map the gyro to the right analog stick? As it is now, you could either waggle around your Pro Controller or use the Joy-Cons. This doesn't affect me personally, but the right Joy-Con is the one that picks up the gyro in the game, meaning that left-handed people are going to be in for a world of even more imprecise gyro than the Joy-Cons already have because of the lack of sensor bars. Because that means that you will have to constantly reset the gyro after drifting. Nice. Next up, Sunshine. So before I bring up the flaws, I would like to clarify why this was delayed as much as it was. In mid-October and mid-November, 3D All-Stars randomly got patches. I don't know why, considering the game would be eviscerated in a few months, but giving Sunshine GameCube support, fixing debug cubes, and a couple bugs, and allowing to inverse the camera, all of that took a chunk out of what was wrong with the original version of Sunshine, but there are still a few things. With all of these games, they preserve their original frame rates, meaning that 64 and Sunshine are 30, but Galaxy is in 60. Galaxy and Sunshine both got a 1080p boost, but Sunshine only runs at 30, which really doesn't feel good for a 3D platformer. Bowser's Fury took a cut out of its resolution to get it running at 60 in docked mode. Now, sure, it isn't ideal, but it shows that frame rate matters in any game. Sunshine is 30 on GameCube, but when you want to enhance a game, I would only hope that you actually enhance the game. Audio delay and cues just completely missing.
Use the button to shoot water from my cave. If you press the button, you can stop and shoot. You can then use the stick to aim in any direction.
Having to spray by pushing in the right analog stick, and all of the bugs, glitches, and messy designs from almost 20 fucking years ago. Enhanced, huh? And the one thing that Dolphin can't do, which is upscaling the cutscenes, aren't even upscaled normally. They are AI upscaled very slightly to fit the rest of the game, and they are both zoomed in to go from 4:3 to 16:9, which makes it look really weird, but despite it being 20 years since Sunshine, the cutscenes are still unskippable. Fantastic. And 64 is just depressing. This is easily the worst way to play the game. While it technically looks better, it really looks exactly the same. Unlike the rest of the ports, it's not in widescreen. Why? It's possible to make a widescreen image 720p or 1080p. Banjo-Kazooie did it in Rare Replay. It's not hard. The game looks completely identical despite the large graphics jump. The original was in 240p and the jump to 720 looks identical except for the stuff that will just preemptively disappear before they're even off screen. On top of that, this 20-year-old N64 game has this motion blur effect that is really garbage, and those low poly character models that were used to maintain frame rates. There is audio delay, all the dated stuff before enhanced in no way at all, like the camera, and worst of all, it uses the Shindo version, which cuts out certain audio lines, and, most terminally, all of 64's speedrunning glitches. Mario 64's legacy is partly held on the back of its speedrunning community, and preserving the game without preserving that is like going to a party but without your clothes on. Fun. What if someone grew up watching 64 speedruns and wants to try it out through the major re-release of 64? Now, all of this I just said is already not that great, but its biggest competition isn't even original versions or other collections. It's what emulators have been doing for years. Speaking of emulators, 64 and Sunshine have been found out pre-launch to be completely emulated. They're not even porting the games. They're half porting one and emulating the others. Emulation isn't a bad thing, obviously. But when you consider how Nintendo acts towards mods and emulation both before and after this release, and what people were able to do on Dolphin in their free time, it really makes them look quite hypocritical. Here is Galaxy on Dolphin, running and looking about the same as 3D All-Stars. Here is footage of Sunshine on Dolphin, looking about the same as 3D All-Stars, and running at 60 FPS. And here is footage of a 64 PC port that has widescreen, 60 FPS, upscaled textures, full camera control, and 4K character model textures that make it look really close to what they originally designed the game to be like. While you can still play the PC port through other means, the official release was nuked with a cease and desist by Nintendo. You can still get it though, and with the right tools, you can run them on your Switch for free. So at that point, why would you pay $60 for a collection of emulated games when you could just pay $0 for 3 emulated games that are better? And why not stop with those 3? You could also get Galaxy 2 or 3D Land for 64 3D. Why not just actually play all of these games for free with emulation instead of buying emulation for $60. These emulations wouldn't even be so heavily compared if Nintendo had backwards compatibility in any way. But laugh, 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 the Virtual Console is garbage. We have NES and SNES, with 3 or so added between the two every couple months. Incredible. And seeing as now they have emulators for 64, GameCube, and Wii, does that mean that we're getting those to NSO? Maybe? I don't know. It's possible. This company is just so backwards because their philosophy is that they both want everyone's money and yet hate making money. They go off about making games fun for everyone, yet they consistently railroad the people who want to play their games into only playing the games they want to play. And what's hilarious about the fact that 2/3 of this $60 collection is emulated is that they hate emulation, and mods, and fan games. They hate fan use of their IPs so much. Remember AM2R? Shut down. Pokemon Uranium MMO and Brick Bros? Deceased. Earthbound Book? Cancelled. Zelda the Missing Links? Cancelled. Mario Battle Royale? Eviscerated, but you know what? Why don't we do that instead? For 5 months. Hell, there was this massive Breath of the Wild mod, and since it has been put out through major news sources, I'm half expecting that to be taken down as well. Really only a matter of time. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about that 5 months part. Yeah, as you all know, Mario 35, 3D All-Stars, and fuck it, I'll just throw in Fire Emblem as well, are officially taken out of the eShop by the time this is out. I'm gonna be honest. I don't get it. This just makes no sense. Nintendo has shown that their games have legs. They sell more and more as the years go on. Mario Kart, Smash, Breath of the Wild, Odyssey, Splatoon 2, and Mario Party are all over 3 years old and still in their top 10. Nintendo games have legs. Apart from Let's Go, I can't think of a game whose sales just completely halted after the first year they were out. They kept continuously selling more and more as more and more people buy Switches. So cutting off this game's legs and telling it to do a 1,000-meter dash right now would be way less smart than just releasing the collection and just having it sell. And I know it's not anniversary based like they claim. Skyward Sword isn't a limited release, and Jump Rope Challenge is. Granted, we don't know when Jump Rope Challenge is going away, but it will soon, so it hurts us, and it hurts you. Why would you do it? With 35, I can kind of understand, but why don't you just replace it with another game? Make a Mario 3 35, or Mario World 35. Why prevent the people who play your games to play your games? And with Fire Emblem, just add it to NSO. Why didn't you do that initially? That makes no sense. In short, this collection perfectly outlines everything wrong with Nintendo. The lack of bonuses with the collection shows how they really don't do anything more than the bare minimum. The numerous issues plaguing the games show how little effort they put in porting their older games. The limited run shows how much they tunnel vision and put stupid decisions to make as much money as possible. The $60 price tag shows how little leniency they put in pricing games they make no matter how old they are. Here's more details if you're really curious. Its baffling use of emulation, considering their own policies about it and fan products in general, shows how hypocritical they are, and how it isn't okay if people do something like emulation, but it's perfectly fine when they do it. And overall, despite this collection starting a trend of events that permanently dented their image and sent them on a 3-month losing streak, it's not like this is stuff we didn't already know. And do you know what the saddest, most depressing part of all this? About the collection? Yeah, I did. And I'm pretty sure you guys did too. Or at least, this many of you did. And because of that, we have inadvertently encouraged them to do these more often. We need to actually do something about this. I panic bought this game because I wanted to get something, but I thought, oh god, this is going away in a few months. I should probably get this. No, don't do that. Give the stuff that you buy more thought, and only buy what you feel is of quality or value from what you've seen. See what other people think. Take into account the pros and the cons. There is an entire series on YouTube called Before You Buy that is literally about valuing purchases before you buy them. Just watch that at the very least. Buying anything that may support these types of practices in the future that would be rotten, like Skyward Sword HD or anything like this, will only encourage this to do more often. In an article released by Nintendo, they said that they will do limited releases more often because they felt like people liked it because people bought it. And at that point, who else is there really to blame for that?